Good Tuesday evening. Welcome to BCP Live. I'm Joey McWilliams. One of the reasons I know that is because it says it in the little box down there on the left-hand portion of my screen. But I have a good idea because I've heard it many, many times from Mrs. Patriot, and I'm glad to get to visit with you all tonight. I have a special guest on with me, and I will introduce Lisa a little more properly here in just a moment. I want to say thanks to everyone watching. If you're watching us live, thank you very much. If you're watching this again on a Wednesday morning, a Thursday morning, or whenever you happen to get this video, then thank you very much for taking some time with me because I always enjoy it. Now, the person to the right of me on my screen on the monitor that's just past that camera right there is Lisa Smiles Jensen, and she is somebody that I'm getting to know a little bit more as over the course of the last year or so. Lisa, I have to tell you, the first time I saw you coming into a Durant Area Chamber of Commerce meeting, I just appreciated the name because that is exactly how you introduced yourself. That's a part of your name now, and I know we could talk about that just a little bit, but it made me smile just hearing that word, and I think that's part of the plan, right? Is that just a part of the plan that you make somebody else smile too?
It is, yes. It's definitely part of the plan.
Well, I want to give you a chance to talk then about what you're doing and what all is going on in your life, and actually, I mean, that could take a little while because you have a lot going on. When we go to Coffee Network, and I know the last couple of times you put more than $1 in, so you can take a little bit more time and talk about different things that are going on. But before I, say, hey, listen, just tell us everything. But I know one of the things you have going is you're working with finances, and I really would like to hear that. You're relatively new to this area, but talk to us a little bit about what you do with finances.
Oh, definitely. Thanks again for having me on, Joey. I really appreciate this. And it's been a blessing meeting you in this community and just being a part of Durant. It's been phenomenal. Finances, that was something that was not a part of my growing up. My understanding, had no idea I would actually end up in finances today. I got introduced to it by a friend, just randomly. She had actually invited me to an event. However, I think I was seeking out something more than just my job. And I went to this event. It was in finance. It was amazing. The energy in the room, the people, and then the education side was such a huge impact on me. And I just had this trigger in my head that went, okay, we need to educate people about this so much more so that we change the generations to come after me. I can change my generation slightly, but the bigger impact is changing the people that are still coming up and the younger generation. An example, my two kids, teaching them about just how to handle money, how to learn different terminology and the way to think about things and have that relationship has been huge.
I don't recall having financial classes in high school or junior high. I mean, we dealt with money sometimes in math, but It wasn't something that was necessarily offered. Now I know I've got twins that are juniors now, and they have some classes that are similar, and they talk a little bit about that. But I'm 52, and we talk about your generation and mine. I think I'm a little bit older than you are. I know that, but we just didn't have that. We had other things that were there, and so making if you didn't get it necessarily from your parents, you probably didn't get it, and now all of a sudden you're out there in the real world and you have to make these decisions. So it is something that's very important to learn, and I appreciate your approach to how you talk about finances and that it really I don't think. People use the phrase sometimes something could be a scary word. I don't think it's a scary word, but I think it's an annoying word sometimes if you let it be, and the way you approach it keeps the annoyance out of it in just handling that. So what is it that you do?
I reconnect people to their money. So I want you to think about something real quick, Joe. I want you to go back to really the first encounter you had with money. And just think about that for a minute, right? Whether it was possibly the tooth fairy, could have been money coming in a birthday card from grandparents, right?
That's the one that came to mind.
Okay. So take that same emotion that you had that moment you opened that card and that money popped out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you still feel that same way about money today?
Not really. No.
Okay.
No, okay. I don't. And now I can think back, and I think that my grandfather gave me a $2 bill just about every time, which I love. Now I love that, and I think that's part of it. That was special. because it wasn't, it was something that was different. And I recognized that it was different because it was a $2 bill. So, but yeah, no, I don't feel the same way.
Okay. And so we have to kind of go back to that, right? So we need to reconnect to that money. And I feel that in today's society, we've been disconnected from that because one, nobody gets a paycheck anymore handed to them on Friday, right? I used to be excited to go to work on a Friday or every other Friday because I'd be getting my paycheck physically at my place of business. Or if you went somewhere and did a job for a neighbor or you did something, somebody handed you cash.
Mm-hmm.
So you felt that energy transfer go back and forth. And so you were connected to that. Well, we're not connected anymore. So everyone has direct deposit, goes from your employer to your bank, and then everybody swipes their ATM card. And it's going to whoever you're paying with that card. So there's no connection to that anymore. And so what I try and do with people is reconnect and have them understand just that feeling of how it feels to earn that money and then spend that money. And it really just comes down to budgeting. Nobody budgets anymore. It's another word that nobody wants to talk about. They kind of, it's that annoyance. Oh my gosh, we're talking about budgeting again. Someone's going to tell me how to control my money, right? However, it's not. It's that reconnection and balancing our checkbook. If we don't do that, our money goes in so many different places we just don't want it to.
Yeah, it's a really good point, and I haven't thought about that in a while because I know what's going on in my bank account because I've got the app, and so I'm following it and I'm keeping up with it and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the same when I'm not writing it down.
Right.
And I don't know. I appreciate you saying this too, because sometimes I feel, I hate to say this again, it's going to make me sound old. So Lisa, please don't think of me as older than I am from this conversation. But
Never.
I'm kind of old school with these things. I run an online newspaper. This is an offshoot of an online newspaper, and I still like to hold a newspaper in my hand regularly. And I think there's something to, you're exactly right, writing it down. And we don't do that because it's all just taken care of for us.
Right. But is it taken care of for you?
There's the rub.
You've given the ability to somebody else that doesn't appreciate how hard you earned or worked for that money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's getting people to think a different way, be open about it, kind of take it back old school. They've always told us too, if you write your goals and dreams down, they're more likely to happen if you just keep them in your head, right? So it comes back to that writing it down, following it, and making sure your money's going where you really want it to go.
You know what, that's so important. And I'm going to take an opportunity. I'm going to add to this just a little bit, not to what you're doing, but just because you give me an opportunity there's a scripture says to write the vision and to make it clear, and so that he who takes it can run with it. And if we don't have it written down, how can we run with it? That's very good. My goodness, Lisa, that'll preach. That'll give you something to share and go with from there. And I recognize that I mean, I have some more things written down over time, but I don't do it as much anymore. And I think just because we get out of the habit, but you're exactly right. There's something to seeing that. It makes a difference. It makes all the difference in the world, whether it be a picture or whether it be the words that you write down like that. Well, listen, I don't know about anybody else. I'm glad that you're on here tonight too. I appreciate that. If I can, let me go back for just a second, because one of the things that I heard you say, and again, you've already said it tonight, but it's the phraseology just to reconnect us. That's a whole different mindset than just saying, well, you know what, you should just take care of your money. You need to budget and take care of it. The reconnection there's so much in that, and I think that it makes me feel more like it's mine, like I'm a part of what's going on. Does that make sense?
That makes complete sense. Yes. And I love that you threw that scripture in there, because it brings it in that full circle on, we are really stewards for a lot of what we're doing here today, and money is a part of that. And if we don't really understand where we want it to go, it goes wherever it chooses.
Well, and you know what, there's that puts weight on what you're talking about, because when we don't see what we're doing as stewardship, no matter what it is, then we don't put as much weight and give it as much importance as it deserves. I'm visiting tonight with Lisa Smiles Jensen here on BCP Live. Thanks to everyone for watching. Some of you all are watching live. I know a number of you that are watching right now are watching the replay later on in the morning or an afternoon. So thank you very much for being with us here. And Lisa, I asked a while ago when you were talking about reconnecting with your finances. So this is clearly something that you do and have an opportunity to share with other people. So how do people then connect with you? What do you do there?
The best way is to email me. I'm trying to get better at tracking certain things. Text messages get lost. We all know that if we click on it, read it, we don't go back to it, right? So best way is email at smilethroughfinance@gmail.com. And to connect there. I have a website in process. I will share that with you once I do get that completed. It's an area I'm not technical in, so I'm having somebody else help me with some of the smaller pieces of that. But again, it's the best way is email or phone. You can always call me. Text isn't the best. Phone call and email. I'm kind of going back old school. You got to call me on the phone. They can reach me at my phone number. It's listed on all my social media, on my business cards. Here, I can give it to you. It's 818-429-6069. Again, it does show I am out of area, transplanted here 2.5 years ago. But again, if I change my phone number, there's so many people I'd have to contact to tell them. So it's always best to keep that same phone number.
And I've had the same one for so long now. And now, granted, I've been in the Durant area for a long time too. And I know that's a little different. And I always think it's interesting when someone calls and it shows up from where the phone is, but I know they're in a different place right now, different part of the country. If
Right.
you don't mind really quickly, I know we're here in Bryan County and you said you were transplanted here. So, just before I let you go tonight, I've heard you say before that you enjoy the community and you're enjoying being in this area. Where did you come to get to Bryan County?
I came from California. However, I'm originally from Utah. So I was raised in the country, moved to the big city, lived in California for 22 years, and then I ended up here in Durant, Oklahoma. I came here sight unseen. I came here so my kids could be closer to their dad. And it was just one of those situations that fell into place. And when I came here, I saw Durant's magic and I just was like, this is an amazing place, has so much opportunity and so much growth available. It was an amazing. I knew I was where I needed to be at this time in my life.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, it's always good to hear, how people got to this area and what brought you here. But Lisa, and just again, in visiting with you, I know you have so much to offer, not only people individually, but the community as a whole. And I'm glad you're here. I appreciate you coming in and you make me smile. So I just want to say thank you. And thank you so much for taking some time with us here tonight to talk about what you have going on. And just so folks know, we have an opportunity to write a little bit about that as well, too. So you may be able to find some in print and about what Lisa is doing. And we'll also then, when we cover that, then we'll make sure that we have in print and some links to those, email and phone numbers that you gave us before too. So we'll definitely take care of that. Lisa, before I let you go, and we do have one announcement tonight too. One of the things that has come up today, it's a sports announcement. Yes, I know, but it's one of our local high schools. So we want to talk about that for sure. But Lisa, is there anything else that you would share with the audience and with the folks here on BCP Live?
Well, one, I just want to thank you again, Joey. You've been a great connection to this community, and I love what you're doing for everybody here. One thing to say is just really take that evaluation. There's no charge to sit down and really see how I could possibly help people. I don't want anyone to think that you have to have money up front to possibly see what the options are. It's literally, we sit down, we have that consultation and just see where you are. And even if it's not with me, sit down with someone, do that review, take a moment, take that, initiative to put yourself in a better situation going forward.
All right. Well, I like that too. And there are lots of places around Bryan County you can sit down and have a visit too. We have so many different places. Just stop. I enjoy stopping and get a cup of coffee. Opera House is a good place to go. And so that was free, by the way. Opera House is not sponsoring tonight's broadcast, but just it's a good place to go. And we have so many of those. So, well, all right. Well, I like that. Well, thank you, Lisa. Well, stick around with us just for a second as we wrap up our time here. I wanted to let folks know, if you haven't seen already, of course, Caddo and Durant, our football teams. Durant, neither one, by the way, is going to be playing on Friday night, which is a little bit different to not have at least one of the two teams playing on Friday night. Durant's going to McAllister. It's a Thursday night game. 3 Thursday night games this year on the schedule for Durant. That's just pretty wild. But the Lions are doing well, so you want to follow them up to McAllister, just up 69. It'll take you a little more than an hour to get there, I guess, depending upon how fast you drive. It takes me a little bit more than an hour to get there. We'll just put it like that. Caddo, however, would have been playing on Friday night, and it's homecoming week, but Midway doesn't have enough players. And so the game has been canceled. It was mentioned that homecoming would be postponed, rescheduled, however it's going to be. However, that has also been changed. Homecoming's still going to be this week. Homecoming Friday night, and things that are happening on the 20th, which is Friday. So 3 days from now, all you Caddo folks, there's going to be a hamburger dinner at 5:30. Homecoming ceremony still will take place at 6:30. Bonfire at 7 o'clock. And there will be a homecoming dance from 8:30 to 11, and that is going on at Caddo. That is this Friday. So no football game, but a lot still going on, and the homecoming activities are going on. So keep that in mind, and just remember that for all the folks in Caddo and thereabouts. Lots of homecoming dresses, I'm sure, that still get to be worn. That's important. It's very important. Hey, I have 4 daughters, and we've had our share of homecoming and prom dresses in the past, and we're not done yet. We have one more. So anyway, all right. Well, thank you, Lisa, by the way. I appreciate you being on with us tonight. And I want to remind everyone, thank you very much. If you watched all the way to the end, especially if you've watched all the way to the end and you're watching the rebroadcast, you are a trooper. So I really appreciate that. When you go about the rest of your week, remember to be wise. Okay, that's very important that you're wise. And if you don't feel like you have enough wisdom, the Bible said to ask God. He said he'd give you wisdom. And I do it on a regular basis. And I'm not ashamed to ask for wisdom. Number 2, walk in love. It is sometimes a challenge to do that, but I encourage you to do it anyway, because you'll find that the results are very, very good. And when you go a long way towards sowing love, you'll find a way to reap it as well. And number 3, do not walk in fear. And as always, with everything going on around us in the world, there's an opportunity to be scared about something. And if you didn't have one anyway, the national media will be happy to find a way to give you something to be scared about. Do not walk in fear. Doesn't mean that you don't have a respect for a situation. You should have respect for a lot of situations. That doesn't mean you have to be scared. So be wise, walk in love, do not walk in fear. For Lisa Smiles Jensen, and it makes me smile just to say it every single time, I'm Joey McWilliams. Thanks for watching BCP Live tonight. God bless you all. Have a great evening and a great week ahead.